$18.99. The great. I can't do Sean Connery.
Wait.
No, do it.
Well, do you want me to just push through it no matter how terrible it gets?
Do it.
$18.99.
You got really far that time.
Let's all guess who Reese is imitating.
Nations of Europe share an uneasy peace. For hundreds of years, wars have been fought with the same weapons.
Yeah, you're getting better.
Single-shot rifles, cavalry, horse-drawn cannon. But this old century is soon to end. A new age dawns.
And if you go a little deeper, it'll sound perfect.
That should be perfectly obvious as to the movie we're covering today. That being The League of Extraordinary Gentlemen. Sean Connery's last film. Actually, not technically his last film, because I looked at his IMDb recently, and there's some weird Scottish animation movie that looks like it was made 50 million years ago.
That's not the same Sean Connery, though.
Oh, it is, weirdly. Like I don't know. I forgot the name of it already, but yeah. Anyway,
It's his twin brother.
yeah. Welcome to Franchise Killer. This is a podcast where we pick movie franchises or wannabe franchises, review them film by film, and see where things went wrong. All right.
You did it backwards.
I did not.
Yeah, he definitely did it right now.
Yeah, you're right. Did we already start recording?
Yeah.
Oh,
Duh.
Yeah.
I didn't know we were recording.
What are you talking
Why do you think I
about?
put all that effort into that Sean Connery impersonation?
Oh,
No,
I thought
Reese
I
just
thought you were
wanted
just
to
practicing.
read it by himself.
Hold on. For Noah, repeat that last line.
I'm not doing it.
Repeat it.
Or right.
Dang it.
No, that's not fair.
Which last line?
That was it, but you need to start from the
I'm not
beginning of
starting
that
from
No,
part.
we're not starting.
I'm going to introduce you guys. How about that?
Sounds good.
Or right.
Okay. Thank you. To my right is...
I'm David.
To my left.
Irina.
To my further left.
Noah.
And right across from me.
Or right. AJ.
And I am Reese, the host of this podcast. And as I stated earlier, we were talking about the League of Extraordinary Gentlemen. We're going to talk about the story, break it down paragraph by paragraph, which I did not. Well, I kind of took from Wikipedia this time, but I put it into my own words. And closing out, we will then go into why this franchise failed and whether or not it did well on its own or not, or just basically, yeah, why another one wasn't made. And, do we have any history with this franchise, David?
Yeah, I mean...
He has a lot of history.
Yeah, we go way back.
It's complicated.
It is now.
This is going to be a very unfocused podcast.
It already feels that way. Yeah, when I was younger, I definitely saw this, and I actually really liked it when I was younger. But I haven't really seen it since. So when this came up, I was like, oh yeah, this was a great movie. I'm going to love it. And things happened, and someone else should talk about their experience.
Here's the thing. You were watching... Yeah, it came out on the weekend that Pirates of the Caribbean came out.
I remember...
So you were probably... had your butt in the
oh.
seat of the theater right next to this one.
Well, the thing is, I definitely remember the night that I saw Pirates of the Caribbean. It was actually a very special night when I watched that one.
That was
Did
a
you work
special
at the...
night.
Yeah, it was.
Did you work at the BK Theater at the time?
Yes, I was working at the theater at the time.
Whoa, at the theater, huh?
Yeah, when I was 10 years old.
Okay, so you're just passing it along. Not much to go on here. So you had not seen this.
No, I did. I just said I loved it. When I was a kid, I've
We're
seen
not talking
it.
about pirates. We're talking about this movie.
Yes, I know. Yes.
Are you sure you mean League of Extraordinary Gentlemen?
Wait, what movie? What
All
are we going over today?
Okay,
Irina.
I'm going to go over my history with this one. I actually don't remember seeing it in theaters. I don't think I did. I think we rented it at another time and watched it because obviously Sean Connery was in it, and that's a name draw right there. I think I watched it with my mom, if I'm not mistaken, because she loves these kind of films.
Even to this day.
And Sean Connery.
Yeah, she prides herself in finding unusual fantasies that not most people would enjoy, but she finds heart in them, and I appreciate that about her.
Yes. Noah, probably same situation.
Yeah, same as Irina.
Yeah, that would make sense.
Uh-huh.
All right, I'm just going to pass it right along
Yeah,
to
there we
Andrew.
go.
So kind of pulling from everybody else's opinion. I didn't see it in theaters, though. I remember seeing it when it came out on DVD, and that's the last time I saw it until now. Remembering having, I guess, positive memories as a kid, just kind of enjoying it, and obviously the name draw of Sean Connery. So That's why we picked it here and just revisiting it and seeing how it holds up.
Yeah.
Yep.
I think you seemed to really like it. And at least that's why you picked it.
Yeah, I mean, I always feel like, I guess, I always had the impression that it had a bad rap after the fact, and my memory of it didn't line up with that, so I wanted to go back and revisit it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I kind of... I've always lumped this kind of in the same category as Van Helsing, but
Yeah,
in
I can see that.
my mind, I viewed like Van Helsing as the fun version of this, and this one I kind of like don't remember much of it, other than like Sean Connery shooting his rifle at something, and people that are invisible, and vampires, and not much else.
But there's lots. That's more than Van Helsing, right?
And the Nautilus.
Yeah. Oh yeah. The car. I thought the car was cool, and I thought the submarine was cool.
Yeah. This was like the old Batman movies compared to like old before 90s.
Yes.
That's what I mean. A version of basically Penny Dreadful. Like this is Penny Dreadful like knocked down to a children's film.
And that car did kind of have a Batmobile look to it. Mm-hmm. If I recall, the Tim Burton Batman had the double wheels in the front as well. Am I wrong? Maybe I'm wrong.
It does sound
I don't
right.
know.
I mean, I feel like I've seen
No,
that.
maybe I'm just.
It's been a while.
No, I
don't know.
don't think it was that way. Now that I think of it, but I don't know. Anyway, you want to talk about the story?
Yeah.
The story.
Get into it?
Let's do it.
All right. The year is 1899. A terrorist organization led by the Phantom steal Leonardo da Vinci's blueprints of Venice's foundations, along with a handful of German scientists. By order of the British Empire, Sanderson Reed is sent to Kenya in an attempt to recruit Alan Quartermaine. Is that how you say it?
Quartermaine.
Quartermaine.
But there's no R.
He's a quarter man.
Oh.
It sounds
There
like
should-
Quartermaine, but there's no R.
Quartermaine. Yeah, no, he's right. Whenever we were watching it in subtitles,
Okay.
there was no R in there.
Yeah. Quartermaine refuses at first, but ultimately accepts after his friend Nigel is killed by assassins. Quartermaine meets M in London and learns that the Phantom have designs on starting a world war by killing world leaders during a secret meeting in Venice. Meanwhile, M has been hard at work putting together the latest generation of the League of Extraordinary Gentlemen, so far featuring Captain Nemo, Mina Harker, Rodney Skinner, and now Quartermaine. Rodney Skinner's the Invisible Man.
Yeah.
Mina Harker's the vampire, and Captain Nemo is Captain Nemo.
Captain Nemo's Captain Nemo.
He has a ship. That's what he is.
Skinner in this version, actually, they renamed the Invisible Man because they couldn't get the full rights to the Invisible Man.
Which
Yeah.
makes
Even
sense.
The
Well,
original, his name is Griffin.
We can say one thing: they prevented World War I for about 14 years.
Yeah, kind of success.
Slightly,
Yay.
Kind of
it's
success.
slightly
Yay for
on.
the extraordinary gentleman.
It's like it's slightly on a normal history, but they decided to just barely change it. It was
Let's put this war on a hiatus.
Let's wait.
But they have to beg
until
for us
I
to come
die.
back.
let's make all the technology 15 years earlier, but that's about it.
So I think Captain America, the first Avenger, ripped the opening of this scene completely off. Do you remember the beginning of that movie? That tank comes bursting into that area where the
definitely.
Tesseract is.
Well,
I
the,
do
the
remember
Phantom,
that.
the
One did
Phantom's
it
face
better.
here almost reminded me of Red Skull a little bit.
Yeah,
but
that too. I mean,
Dude.
Captain America does it better, but I was like, wait, what movie am I watching?
I gotta say that Phantom though,
League.
don't like at all.
Based
yeah.
off Phantomas or whatever that is.
Well, they got it. They was based off Phantom of the Opera.
Well,
No,
Oh,
It was.
seriously?
So the Phantom is kind of an archetype in French literature.
yeah.
Get out of here.
So
No, but the thing is, similar to Phantom of the Opera, he has that mauled face. And the
He's
thing that I
maulding.
found hilarious about that mask, this was almost like a Dr. No kind of James Bond moment, I guess,
Yeah.
where it's just it has this outrageous outfit where he has this shiny mask on, and I love that like they altered the mouth area and the eye like just enough
Yeah.
because he's like, I want people to see that I'm actually kind of like messed up under this.
I know, it's so stupid.
It had he's a very Roger Moore era Bond villain.
Yes, definitely.
Ironically enough, they were supposed to have Bond in this movie, or James Bond's grandfather or something like that, but they
no.
scrapped it.
Yeah, good.
That's kind of funny though.
well, that's in the original comic.
Yeah.
So then we have our action sequence with Quartermaine facing off against these assassins. They do their best on close-up shots of Sean Connery to make him look a little more agile and capable of a fighter. He
And justify his $17 million salary or whatever it was.
Yeah, which is the reason why he's the only recognizable star in this movie. Because all of the budget went towards him.
Having Sean Connery.
I mean,
Well, he is the
that's the reason
producer.
that I saw the movie, so I guess
Yeah,
it worked
so
in
I
that
think-
respect.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I will
just
say
imagine how many people would not have shown up if Sean Connery wasn't in this.
it is the most memorable aspect of this movie, for whatever that's worth. He has a presence, and he's a decent leading man, I guess.
I have to say, while I'm not very impressed by it, the choreography is not as
Yeah,
bad as
yeah.
it could be.
It's
what's
a little
choreography again?
slapstick.
So the
I
thing
knew
about
this was
this
gonna come up.
the thing about this intro part of this movie, though, actually didn't mind it that much. I thought it was kind of fun.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, and I was thinking, if it keeps this sort of, it's almost like it's hearkening back to that James Bond era again, where it has this choreography that isn't quite realistic, but it's still fun to watch.
It's a little campy,
And
but
then
it knows it.
he has these every now and then these one-liners that he throws, like when he has to put his glasses on and he says, "I hate getting old." You kind of get happy, but I won't say much. But the rest
Yeah.
of the movie definitely deviates from that.
Yeah,
mood.
and that, and dare I mention this in the same breath as Indiana Jones, The Last Crusade. Sean Connery's character here still kind of has that fatherly figure, I guess. At least
Yeah.
in the beginning, like you said, and
It's
things,
like that
things change a little bit.
It's like that character, but he didn't really care as much.
Right.
He's kind of like Indiana Jones in Crystal Skull.
I actually disagree. I think
The old when he's old and
I
sorry
think
and
okay. So
you know.
So the thing is, with Crystal Skull, I felt that Harrison Ford just seemed tired and playing out a part.
Yeah.
With this one, I actually kind of saw a little of Sean Connery's spark. He felt like it looked like he was actually kind of having fun. You
He's
know.
like, well, I got
could
paid
see it.
$17 million.
yeah,
I should probably
I think
do
it's like a fun
something.
project.
I guess in
for
the
him.
beginning, it seemed like he was invested, and then there was drama on set here between him and the
Mm-hmm,
director, which
I heard about
actually
that.
was a reason both of them
Yeah.
quote this movie
Oh.
as why they left the business.
Yeah, yeah.
But it does look like there are parts here where he was truly invested in.
Yeah,
I
definitely.
do remember reading that where with was it the director who said they were not going to make any more movies after this?
Oh, yeah, we'll talk about
Yeah.
that.
Oh my god.
Yeah. At this point, I was like, this is passable, I guess.
Yeah.
But I don't think any of what I had seen so far was memorable, particularly.
Right.
You're just kind of like, this is a thing, and I'm not like offended by it.
Yeah.
And it's kind of cool to see Sean Connery in his last role.
Right, right.
There's some CGI slip ups here and there,
Yeah.
but for the time, not the worst.
He still had some energy, and yeah. So then the guy blows. Oh wait, where am I at? The guy blows up the blimps. Then we get to Quartermaine, and okay, we get to the Invisible Man. What y'all got? What
Okay.
y'all think of him?
So here is where things start to just devolve a bit for me.
have a
little
feeling-
I
fast.
see his introduction, and I'm wanting this almost a little bit of a sophisticated kind of guy, and you get this Cockney.
I'm invisible and I steal things.
I'm invisible, but I'm a gentleman.
Let's
Like
okay, hang on.
I'll
He
steal
is-
your pockets
no,
with
no.
class.
He is by no means a gentleman. No. I think the hilarious thing is
Oh my gosh.
I actually remember at the time having a little teensy weensy crush on this guy.
Oh
Because
no!
you
As
couldn't
a
see
kid.
his face.
No,
That's
no.
why.
The thing is, I was waiting for the Invisible Man to show up because I couldn't remember exactly, except for the fact that I had a bit of a crush. And then once he popped up and started talking, I internally chastised myself. I was like, "Really, Irina?
Bad idea.
This
Bad.
guy?"
He's like off-brand Jason Statham swagger.
Yeah.
I think I liked I liked the
It's
way
like Walmart versus Target.
it was one of the few instances where the CGI I felt, while not amazing, still kind of held up.
Yeah, yeah.
Like when he's like applying the white stuff to his face, I was like, oh, that's kind of.
Well, it was,
no,
it
it's
was
a-
cool
that's a fun
conceptually.
effect, but,
Conceptually, it was cool.
But
Yeah.
when you just pair the voice with
So
how his character could be, and
The-
it's just
the problem I have with his character is that he's like, I'm a pickpocket,
Yeah,
and it
I
helps
hate
that
that.
I'm invisible, which it really doesn't because he's called out all the time for being a thief. You know, he's not a very effective one, even though he's given the plus of being invisible.
He's a really bad pickpocket.
He's actually pretty bad.
Yeah, no.
Because he
it's,
can't stop talking.
And let's go down the line. So we got Captain Nemo. What did y'all think of him?
I actually loved
Design
him.
wise, loved it.
Yeah, I like Captain Nemo. I think he's good.
I thought he was a unique idea as far as how to switch up the Captain Nemo look and act.
Yeah.
What
I
people
agree.
normally are used
Right.
to thinking of.
I thought
Yeah.
he was an interesting guy.
So, what was his sort of background in this compared to original? I know none of us probably really read the comic books with that, but I mean, in this movie, he's from. I'm gonna just wing a guess here. India,
India,
kind of?
yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Just wanted to be careful on that one.
Yeah. Well, it shows like later that on the ship, the gods that they represent.
Oh,
and
yeah,
things like
yeah,
that.
yeah.
So it would be Indian.
And then we got the vampire Mina. Mm-hmm. How do y'all feel about her?
I
Mixed.
think she's a better casting choice for that part than what could have been.
Yeah.
And she acted as a decent balance out to Connery.
Yeah.
She has a couple of very cringy lines,
Yeah.
in
She
my
does.
opinion.
That's the writing.
But I
though.
do think the actress herself is very good at portraying what she can in that role. Like I think she did a good job trying to be a vampire that has been living for a while.
She
and-
holds
She
her
looks like
own
who she is.
as
Yeah.
a ranking woman in a League of Gentlemen.
Right, right.
All right. The League make their way to the London docks in hopes of recruiting Dorian Gray, a man who is immortal because of a missing portrait. Once again, the Phantom's assassins stage an attack, but thanks to help from the U.S. Secret Service agent Tom Sawyer, the League is able to fend them off. God, that guy sucks. But we'll move on.
What are
With
you
Dorian
talking
Gray,
about?
with Dorian Gray now on the team, they then seek out Edward Hyde in Paris, who transforms into his alter ego, Dr. Jekyll, and joins the team when they promise him amnesty. The League travel to Venice in Nemo's submarine, the Nautilus. Skinner, who is missing, is suspected of being a mole when a camera's flash powder residue is found in the wheelhouse, and one of Jekyll's transformation concoctions disappears.
Whoa.
All right, that was a lot of info there. So Dorian Gray, I
Dorian
didn't
Gray.
hate him.
He's a flat
I
character.
thought he was.
He is
alright.
flat, but he
looks the
carries the kind of like light charisma that you would expect from that type of.
Lived
When
a
I
long
was
time.
when I was watching this, that guy popped up, and I swore I could have seen him before, and I was thinking, I know this guy, I've seen him, and then it popped into my head, Queen of the Damned. He was in Queen of the Damned, and he played Lestat.
You've seen
and
that
I
movie.
saw that movie once, once.
What is
And
this movie?
Queen of the Damned. So
Yeah.
it's a continuation of Interview with the Vampire.
Oh.
Yeah, but it's far later. And actually, Reese mentioned it earlier today because that singer
Yeah, Aaliyah?
artist, yeah, she starred in that movie as well. But yeah, I agree. I didn't dislike his performance. There were some again cheesy lines that he had to
Yeah.
do that just weren't that great.
That's what I was gonna say was that, and this is not just him, but in general when it came to the cast, the look and casting choice of the people was good. The costumes were very good, I think, in a lot of ways. It was kind of like the directing and the writing, and it didn't mesh at all.
Yeah.
Like I saw him at first, I was like, yeah, that's the guy. I like that. And then as it played, I'm like, not memorable.
So
Yeah.
here's a plot thing that I don't understand about this movie so far.
Okay.
So the assassins have tried to kill Quartermaine, and now they've tried to kill the whole group.
Right.
By the way, that first attack in Kenya, there was like a bomb went off after the fact and blew up the place. Like, so whoever orchestrated that attack was like, okay, guys, we're going to go get them, send all the boys in there to kill them. And then once they're all dead, okay, blow up the bomb. Like, maybe start with the first one?
Why
Or
didn't
the
they set
second
up the
option?
bombs?
Yeah,
Are
just
you like
have
Alan
them blow up the
Quartermaine?
whole
Yeah.
place.
Yeah.
Poor Niles. I guess they all died.
Yeah, and then they fail again. He sends his assassins in again to kill them and fails. But then a revelation later on in this movie is that they need to get all of the DNA or whatever from all of the League to basically create a new weapon or new weaponized soldiers. So you were trying to kill them? I get. Wait, does that fold in on itself?
It is folding
It
in on
does.
itself
It
100%.
does.
Or
There are a
maybe
lot
they
of-
would kill them and get the DNA off of their dead bodies, but it's just
Yeah.
So what does Quartermaine have that they need, like DNA?
No,
wise?
they don't necessarily need Quartermaine.
Although,
They
based
need
off the
everyone
end of the movie, there's a certain.
As
he's
long
kind
as
of
he's
immortal.
in Africa,
Yeah.
he cannot die.
Yeah.
No, but the thing is, I don't think they actually did. They take something from Quartermaine?
I don't think.
I don't think they
remember
did.
if
I
they
think.
did or
Well, I
not.
think the impression is throughout the whole film, you don't actually think he has any powers whatsoever.
Yeah.
Because he's talking about, this may be my last hurrah or whatever. I may die soon, and so you think he's just a normal human that has a unique skill. So.
Based on the ending, it makes you think, what if at one point he just reaches that decrepit state of old age? He keeps dying, but he comes back every time.
Well, I'm wondering if
Why can't
Asia?
Why can't I die?
I'm wondering if he just comes back younger. Maybe that was an excuse for them to get it to recast the
Interesting.
character.
Maybe.
But then
You know-
then that ruins the whole point of having that American boy.
I think it was a clumsy
Yeah.
allusion to just the comics of him attaining immortality.
Yeah.
know?
I don't think they thought it through that.
No.
hard.
And
Better
just to kind
version
of
of
like
Dorian
drum up
Gray.
excitement for a sequel.
I do
which
think
didn't happen.
a way to describe this film is not very well thought through.
No.
No.
So we also see the Nautilus.
Ooh,
Nautilus
bullshit.
is one of the most memorable things of this film for me.
Yes.
The
didn't like it?
Nautilus.
You didn't like it?
The design was fine, but it kind of reminded me of what is that film? The one with Angelina Jolie and that dude. The one where
Brad
they're like
Pitt?
Not that one.
they have a bunch of aircrafts. It's kind of like a steampunk film. Do you remember what that is?
I have no idea.
With Angelina Jolie?
Yeah, she was in it.
Tomb
Beowulf.
Raider.
No,
I'm
not
just
Tomb
kidding.
Raider. God, I can't remember. Anyway, it was
Oh,
just,
Sky Captain.
Yes,
Yeah.
in the world of tomorrow.
Oh, with
Yeah.
Jude Law.
yeah,
and,
yeah, where it's like there's this kind of shiny effect or like kind of blurred out effect they apply to the machinery or the way things look, and it's it looked. I liked the design a lot, but it's if you're thinking about this movie as coming out in the same year that Pirates of the Caribbean did, not great, but it's fine.
Yeah.
Also, this Nautilus can fit in some surprisingly small spaces. For
That was the
Well,
biggest
hey,
thing I
hey,
thought.
enormity
he
of-
said it's the sword of the sea, so
It sliced right through
it's
the
just
earth.
really
Yeah.
thin. Okay.
I just realized we forgot to talk about our boy Tom Sawyer, who I read wasn't even in the book. They
He
just
wasn't.
added him.
They added him
Why
for,
of all-
I guess, that American appeal.
They're like, they're not going to like
Tom
it if
Sawyer.
we don't have an American
Hey,
character.
I
what's
remember-
American? Tom Sawyer.
remember-
Sure.
Reading in the description that he's an American secret agent.
Yeah.
Is that true?
Oh.
I mean, yeah, in this movie.
Yeah, Secret Service or
That's-
He does not seem like one. He
Well,
seems
'cause
like
it's
a
the
young
1800s
like
America.
a young whippersnapper who's like, I'm good at shooting guns. I should just go find
That was-
this league.
Oh,
that
and-
was
and-
literally the American military and everything back in the 1800s.
And his application was, hey, you like this gun, Sean Connery? I have another one, and you can have it.
He's
and
in.
Sean Connery's like, you're in.
Everyone's like, I don't
love
like
that.
this guy.
I love that
gives me a gun.
oversimplification of it. That's true, but I
He
just
has hot.
Also,
he's got hot.
I learned that
He
there's.
makes guns.
I don't even remember this, but apparently in the movie he brings up the fact that other American agent Huckleberry Finn.
No.
Oh no!
They reference Huckleberry Finn. In
Huckleberry Finn, an agent.
No.
this. Tom Sawyer
The
Huckleberry Finn.
thing that I remember the first when I was watching this for our podcast, when he first showed up, I said, Timothy Oliphant? And then
Nope.
I quickly realized, oh yeah, that's not Timothy Oliphant.
Nope.
I feel
Definitely
stupid.
I like Timothy Oliphant.
But it's so weird because I looked at pictures of them side by side and they look like they could be brothers. They're so similar.
So now we get our Dr. Jekyll, Mr. Hyde sequence, which seemed surprisingly unenergetic for something that, like, it just looked clumsily. The sequence was clumsily put together.
Yeah.
Like, there's this whole, like, they were trying to build a relationship between Tom Sawyer and Quartermaine, where Tom Sawyer's just shooting his guns off willy nilly, and Quartermaine's like, all you need is one good shot. Like, and it,
But
just
you see
so-
in other
Americans.
scenes that Quartermaine is also shooting willy-nilly and
Yeah.
missing all the time.
it's just so clunky, and they have virtually no chemistry.
But you don't
whatsoever.
understand. His method is you have to wait
Yeah.
until the person is completely out of range,
Every time.
and then your shot is cool.
You gotta feel it. I feel it. Another thing. Just thinking about how Invisible Man could be much more useful. He needs some blades. Just run through those crowds and like slice everybody.
Yeah.
You know, he just like, oh, you know what? I'll be fine. I'm just gonna, run around invisible, punch a couple people.
All
Like,
he has to do is sneak up behind someone
Stupid.
and whisper in their ear, make them go a little crazy,
Oh yeah,
and then
that'd
you
be
kill him.
That'd be really interesting. Actually.
Also, some of his movements are way too like wild for some human to be making.
Yeah, they're trying to be just like,
Like, whoa, I'm
oh,
invisible.
he's
Let's
actually
have this-
there. You can see it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
To go
so
back to
Dr. Jekyll.
exactly.
Yes.
I was gonna say I did not like the Dr. Jekyll at all watching this,
I didn't either.
but I did watch some special features on the making of the character.
Okay, I didn't. I want to guess as
All
to
right, yeah,
what
yeah.
the heck
Okay,
that was.
okay.
Throw it at me.
I do not think it was CGI. I think because I saw the actor's face there, and it was not adjusted, but he looked like he was wearing this giant prosthetic of like massive rubbery arms that just swing around back and forth. Like, is that what that was?
It 100% was.
Okay.
So, but the thing is, it's so silly when we watch it on here, but I got so much more respect watching it because they made so many different variations of it. And the director was explaining how at this point that CGI was making leaps and bounds and everyone was using it now. He's like, but I believe in the future, we need to have a balance of practical effects with CGI.
I admire that.
I admire it too.
That
And
balance was not present in the
Not-
other
not at all.
creature that we got at the end of this
Abomination.
movie.
No.
So I learned also that
no.
every single mask that they made, like even the transition when he's like, bursting in weird transitions, they had separate prosthetics for all of them, and they individually put every hair in,
my gosh.
and it was
That is
crazy.
They,
It was way too
focused on
dedicated.
the wrong details in this.
That's exactly what I was thinking watching that.
So
I wish-
I didn't hate the Dr. Jekyll, Mr. Hyde thing. I did not like their we're just going through Paris trying to find this big old massive man. It just seemed weird just going down the alleys and stuff.
What
but
was he doing?
I don't so much mind the design. I think it's
Okay.
okay. I like the practical effect of it. It kind of reminded me of Hulk a little bit.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Especially the Hulk and Abomination fighter.
Right.
Yep, Hulk and Abomination at the end.
He said
Yeah,
in the
yeah,
video I was
definite
watching
analogy there.
of the making of that
Yeah.
he was purposefully trying to avoid looking like the Hulk because they had a
Well,
Hulk
he
movie that
failed.
came out relatively close to this, and he's like, "Oh, and we don't want to do CGI because it'll probably look like the Hulk." Well,
Okay, so he didn't look like the Hulk, but he reminded me of the Hulk.
Also,
Okay.
his sorry, go ahead.
So there's a moment that just baffled me with how dumb it was. It's in their usage of how they thought this was it's future, they could do this, or it's technology, they could whatever. But whenever he shoots Hyde down from the thing, he immediately shoots a flare into the air, and a split second, some net comes out of nowhere and catches him and pulls him around a corner
No, that would totally happen like
and
Dude.
into this place, and it's like what
it was all planned.
Okay, so
How-
no.
what-
The thing that was so frustrating about that is they in movies like this where they have this trap set up, leading up to the trap, it just seems like they're just shooting willy-nilly, like they're actually trying to shoot him. But and the dialogue kind of backs that up. Like they're not supposed to be missing on purpose. But then, oh yeah, he landed in our trap. That's exactly what we wanted to happen.
We really wanted him to grab onto
It's
that
just so
fireplace so I could shoot
Now-
it and him slip.
Devil's advocate here.
Okay.
For Mr. Hyde's design, practical versus CGI. So the next year, Van Helsing came out and also featured Jekyll and Hyde.
Yeah.
Do y'all remember how
It
Hyde
did-
looked?
did not hold up.
Like
Yeah,
that.
'cause he's completely
No,
CGI.
no,
So I will
no.
say the CGI on that one looked better than the CGI at the end of this movie, but I definitely don't think it has aged well at all.
Yeah.
and was not necessary.
I still don't know which one I like better though. If you had to pick, because the way they did the practical effects here it was not amazing.
Well, also,
Yeah.
this movie had to have him on screen for much longer than Van Helsing did.
Yeah.
Whereas Van
gonna
Helsing only
Yeah,
had one
that's
sequence.
fair.
I'm going to say again, I did not mind his practical effect usage.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't mind practical
Yeah.
effects. It's just
I mean, I
how
think
they did it.
that's, in my opinion, what this film has in its favors: the set design, scene, and kind of appearance of the things.
Yeah.
Just in that steampunk, they kind of pulled that off a little bit.
Very
Yeah.
artsy.
However, with his transition back to human, it's like, and then
Okay.
flash of
Yeah,
smoke,
the
and
flashes.
then less, and
the
then
flashes. That
and
was
then less.
what it was.
Yeah,
that
and then
bothered me.
yeah.
Okay. I'm afraid we'll miss it later. It does happen later, but his transformation in underwater, I actually thought that was kind of interesting. If they took out the flashes, I liked that they practically it looked like practical effects were reducing what he looked like, kind of showing you the stages.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I like that it's a painful process.
Yeah.
I think that's an interesting idea.
And I'm gonna say one last thing before we continue on to the story, but I think this movie is moving way too quickly in how in like the recruiting process.
Yeah.
I feel like they're picking these guys up way too easily. Dr. Jekyll, Mr. Hyde, you'd think that would be like a
Yeah.
20-minute long process of getting this guy to join your team, but basically they're just like,
5 minutes.
hey, we offer you amnesty, or London will offer you amnesty if you join us, and he's like, I'm in.
There's free food.
You son of a bitch.
Yeah. Yeah, this is almost like a predecessor to like a Justice League or Avengers where,
Yeah.
hey, ultimate team up of these fictional characters. We don't
Yeah.
get any sort of like origin story or character development whatsoever. Just like, hey, I guess you know this person from literature.
Yeah, a Marvel approach actually would have been really cool.
Yeah.
Oh,
If they had their
yeah.
solo movies.
Yeah, I mean, so
and-
there's potential for that. I mean,
Yeah.
you know, you like these characters. They have awesome backstories. They're pretty big stories, big,
Definitely.
impactful, you know, works that everybody knows.
and that's what the Dark Universe was trying to do, but
and
failed.
that also was what I was going to say next too. Is like this had a lot that could have been that they just kind of felt like they were rushing.
The fact
Yeah.
that,
Yeah.
that we haven't gotten a Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde like full movie blows my mind.
That's kind of true.
Well, there's
Yeah.
they could really delve into the psychological
Oh,
side of
yeah,
it,
definitely.
and that would be really interesting. But no one
And cast Willem Dafoe.
really wants to.
Oh,
Oh my gosh!
gosh.
But now, yeah.
Yeah, no.
All right. When the Nautilus arrives in Venice, bombs go off, causing the city to collapse. Sawyer stops some of the destruction using Nemo's automobile. While Quartermaine comes face to face with the Phantom, who is revealed to be Dorian Gray, Gray kills Nemo's first mate Ishmael and escapes by means of the Nautilus's exploration pod.
Wait a
What?
minute. The Phantom, which turns out to be Dorian Gray?
No, that's
Yeah,
not
that's
correct.
not-
That doesn't
that's
not
sound
correct.
right.
No.
Oh, it's the
It's M.
It's M. Yeah, it
Yes.
turns out to be M. Sorry, my
There
mistake.
you go.
Oh, that's what. Okay, that's why I was confused because I remembered M, and
Yeah,
whenever
yeah.
y'all were talking to me earlier,
Dorian Gray
about-
worked for M.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, different.
But
different
it's
thing.
also revealed that Dorian Gray is bad.
Yeah, he was working for M.
Yes.
Yes. So that's what was meant to happen.
Yeah, sorry.
Yeah, gotcha.
Em and Dorian leave a recording for the League, telling them of their hopes to set a world war into motion. It is also revealed that Dorian has cultivated physical elements of the League to further weaponize the Nautilus and create soldiers, spies, and assassins with abilities akin to the League's. The Nautilus is nearly disabled by bombs, but the destruction is negated by Hyde. Through a message, Skinner reveals he is aboard the exploration pod and tells the League to follow his heading.
Okay, I need to jump straight into that scene when they're in Italy.
Yeah.
What happened? Like in
What happened?
They arrive
No, no,
and there's this big like
Wait.
festival or
yes,
something.
I get that.
Carnival,
They
yeah.
have
Yeah,
to
carnival.
stop. So your line in there, which is correct, I think it said like he hopped in the car to stop this thing from happening.
Yeah, I didn't
didn't
understand what the
it.
plan was.
I didn't get it in the
Yeah,
movie.
it was like we'll just take the flare and when I fire it, you shoot,
and then
I'm like,
that'll
wait,
counterbalance the city from crumbling
what? Yeah, I
somehow.
didn't actually understand what happened.
Did
there.
not make
They're
sense
trying
to me.
to, I guess, yeah, it was something about dominoes, and if we interrupt one domino, the rest of the buildings don't explode, or something like that.
Yeah.
But also
Not
during that car
very well
scene, like Quartermaine jumps out and like his feet just stick the landing right
Yeah, I
there.
love that.
The car is like going.
AJ and I both like chuckled when that happened. Like, no forward momentum when he jumped out.
And it just shows the feet, like no body shot at all. I was like, oh, that's not a stunt double.
Oh
So
my gosh.
Dorian's revealed to be bad, which again, this movie moving too quickly. Like we needed more time with Dorian as a quote unquote good guy before. I didn't care that he was bad,
Especially
like,
if
it was like
we're trying to be fooled that Skinner, the Invisible Man, is the mole.
yeah,
Which I guess
which
if
they
you
totally like kind of don't really go into that at all.
Right.
Yeah, they don't.
I had to read that to know that they suspected that Skinner was bad. I'm sure they
yeah, they were
dropped it at some
supposed
point.
to, and just the background of the Invisible Man's character. I mean, he's criminal. I mean, he's like a
Yeah.
megalomaniac, like deviant, that kind of thing. And
Yeah.
If we're to compare comics, he's a little similar to Loki in that way, as far as we're familiar with him in the cinematic universe, is that you never know if he's really up to something.
Mm-hmm.
He's usually on the good side, but he's had evidence of deviating from that and focusing on personal vendettas.
Yeah.
Sorry, real quick to point out just how dumb is M. Are you serious?
Okay.
This guy's
Noah?
No, I want to hear you go into
Yeah,
it.
I do.
What?
just okay. So if it were really who this character is supposed to be, these like rent-a-cops are not going to be able to take him down. Like
Banging on the side of the
also,
tank.
yeah, like being Moriarty, like
It's-
this whole thing is like supposed to be some grand, like conniving plan, when it's really like,
It's just-
what was the point of this?
It's so stupid.
It's the Rube Goldberg's version of
Do you know what
the
the
Sherlock Holmes
Honestly,
episode.
They
I
also-
feel like,
Sorry, go ahead.
sorry. No, you go.
They actually never reveal their ultimate goal for what the
was-
evil plan is.
Yeah,
it's like we're gonna do all these things and it's gonna be like bad. And then like, wait. So what's your?
World War,
it boils
next
down
World
to-
War.
It
Why?
boils down to they were trying to start a
Because-
war, but also weaponize the DNA of these special individuals
Yeah.
to create super soldiers and sell it to the highest bidder.
Yes.
So they're creating war and also trying to sell a weapon.
And profit
Yeah.
off of it,
But,
I guess.
like you said, it's like, what's the point? Like, why did they get them together? They could have just individually stolen their DNA without anybody even knowing.
Yeah, so it's just money.
It's
I
so
guess.
I
stupid.
like that. That's why I said it's the Rube Goldberg's version of
Yeah.
getting it. It's doing a bunch of really hard tasks to get something that you could have achieved very simply.
Okay, but what if instead they just made an entire army, conquered the entire world, then they have all the money?
Get out of here.
It's James Moriarty. He's smarter than you.
So
and he explains that in his little monologue. Like,
Yeah.
Noah,
yeah. No,
I have something for you.
Yeah.
Reichenbach. Okay? Reichenbach fall. Okay?
I don't know what that means.
Are you about that?
Nah,
I know it's-
not until I
No.
understand.
No, I don't
Sherlock
think
Holmes
I am.
and Moriarty's final face-off. Where
Oh,
Checkmate, Noah.
yeah, we're getting a little ahead in the plot.
So
here.
the
What
thing
there is
is-
of a plot.
This Moriarty character, or AKA the Phantom, as he's supposed to be known in the beginning, is that he reminds me a lot of a lot of famous criminals, where they would return to the scene of the crime. It's almost like they want you to know that it's them. You know, that's his problem. Is that he, with that video too, where he's explaining, "Oh, it was me the whole time."
Yeah, that was the cringiest
I
thing.
Yeah,
know.
the villain monologue
I know
sequence.
that I've won because of this, and boy,
Gosh.
you're dead. You know,
just
it's
calling him,
ugh.
calling that
God,
person
man.
Moriarty.
Yeah,
you know?
no. Moriarty was never like that. Moriarty was far more intelligent
You see-
and didn't care about trivial things like justice
Here-
or trying to, show you that he was smarter than you.
Yeah. Here's the thing. I think if they were casting that actor as Moriarty, he does look the part, but
Yeah.
that's it. That
Yeah.
is it.
Actually,
It's just
that actor is far more capable
Yeah.
of being a really, really interesting character, which is really sad because it's kind of ruined potential.
Well, I
I know.
thought the whole point of what drove Moriarty was like he was arrogant and he met his match in Sherlock Holmes,
Yeah.
and it was almost a game for him
Yeah.
to just keep one-upping Sherlock Holmes,
Right, right.
like a game of wits.
Now,
Yeah,
Alan
but-
Quartermaine
no, it
is
was.
his Sherlock, I guess.
I
He's
guess
just a stay-at-home
just
granddad.
I guess
Who would have stayed in Africa for the rest of his life if it hadn't been
But I could
interfered
shoot you from far away.
He wanted his power of being able to revive in Africa. Just
with. Yeah, we have to let him die in Africa and see if he really comes back.
That was the whole point of the
That
entire
was the
movie.
point.
man.
All right. The League follow the pod to Mongolia, where they devise a plan to destroy M's factory. Nemo and Hyde rescue the captured German scientists, and Skinner sets explosive charges. Meanwhile, Mina manages to kill Dorian by revealing his lost portrait. Quartermaine and Sawyer face off against M, who is actually Sherlock Holmes' nemesis, Professor James Moriarty. Reed, who is now invisible, captures Sawyer, but is shot by Quartermaine. Quartermaine is mortally wounded by Moriarty. Moriarty tries to flee the scene, but is shot by Sawyer, and the formulas he was carrying sink into the watery depths. Quartermaine breathes his last breath.
All right.
All right.
So, yeah, just thinking the only thing that could have been really enjoyable after all of that is to make that anticlimactic death better would have been if Sherlock Holmes had been behind it, the good guy's side the whole time, just from the shadows, and he was actually the one that orchestrated
And if
the
they
good
had
guys
casted it
there.
properly.
Devil's
Yeah.
advocate here, like AJ did before. Let's say, like it said, that Moriarty was supposed to be killed in the falls. What if he thought that Sherlock was also dead, and this takes place in a point where he doesn't realize Sherlock is alive? So he's kind of finding the next best thing.
I guess Quartermaine's good. Fine.
I guess even on the comics, I think Moriarty, or not Moriarty,
Moycroft?
Mycroft, yes, thank you,
Yeah.
comes in and takes over as M. But yeah, it's like we're trying to inject our own thoughts of what Moriarty should be here when that character should stand alone.
Yeah.
Especially after we've seen it done in the Sherlock BBC version
Right.
so well. It's like this movie, the problem with it is like it treats you like you're dumb.
Yes.
Because the plot is
Yeah.
dumb.
I know the Tom
Even though-
Yeah,
Oh,
and it also does that dumb thing where he's told he's revealed to be Moriarty, and he's like, that man died at the falls. I'm new or something, and it's like, well, I missed the last guy.
Yeah,
Like,
I know, right?
That was
Yeah.
completely vague and
yeah.
It was a very hippie answer, like, I am reborn, and now I'm new, and I drink,
Yeah.
and I smoke.
And I smoke.
I see
edgy.
life differently.
I have
Pretty
a
sure
mask.
Moriarty smoked, but
Oh, on a good note, I will say it was kind of neat whenever Dorian Gray meets his end.
yeah,
I
that was
thought that
kind of
was
cool.
pretty
Yeah,
cool.
Even
yeah.
though the CGI is not perfect.
yeah, it
was
reminded me
still-
of in Last Crusade where the whatever Nazi guy goes and tries to drink out of the wrong Holy Grail.
yeah.
He just like
Sure.
turns into a
Becomes
skeleton.
decrepit.
Poorly.
Also,
Yeah,
There you go.
remind me of a poor version of that.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
mentioned
Yeah.
this while watching it. It's like, why didn't Dorian Gray just close his eyes? Like, he knew it was coming.
He's like, oh no, no, not my portrait.
he's like-
Probably because that's
Okay.
not in the story at all. A
So-
picture of Dorian Gray.
Yeah.
If this were a more artsy approach to Dorian Gray, it could be that he's kind of intrigued
Yeah, he
by
wants to
what
see what
he
it is.
might look like.
I feel like we need that movie for him.
Yeah.
Like,
It's an interesting story. Much more.
Speaking-
Yeah.
Sorry. Speaking of Dorian Gray, I have never understood why they keep throwing him into supernatural action.
Yeah.
Because reading the
because-
book, I'm like, I mean,
Yeah, he's not impervious to damage. He's not immortal.
yeah, he's not.
I think we should just combine it with like New Age books and have like 50 Shades of Dorian Gray.
Yeah.
Honestly,
And then throw him in with a character from Dracula.
boom.
Then we got our Hulk Abomination fight, which was pretty lame.
Yeah.
That is some CGI that does not hold up
you
one
know what?
bit.
You know what it reminded me of?
What?
It reminded me of the live Scooby Doo when Scrappy Doo
Oh,
no.
it's like
There you
full
go.
power.
That is
I
exactly
hated
like
That's
that.
what it reminded me
You're
of.
so right. That is so. That movie was probably around the same time. Oh, that'd be an interesting film franchise
I
to cover.
don't wanna
There's
do
two of them.
that.
There's two of them.
I don't
Irina, there's an
wanna
idea
do
for you.
that.
Unless we have the atomic fireballs.
The
All
only
right.
good part of that was Shaggy.
Like zoinks.
one.
Quartermaine is laid to rest beside his son in Kenya. After the remaining League members leave, a witch doctor arrives to the gravesite. The witch doctor is said to have blessed Quartermaine with a promise that Africa would never let him die for saving his village. A storm is summoned, and a bolt of lightning strikes the rifle Sawyer left on Quartermaine's grave.
I'm
There
sorry.
it was.
Africa will never let him die, except for he was already dead. So
I wish I had a recording of that witch doctor singing, because when this movie was over and I was listening to him, I could not stop laughing.
Reese, can you please incorporate like an audio clip?
Just wait. What?
I can't even remember right
Play the
now,
clip,
but
Reese.
I just remember.
Reese is like,
it
wait,
was
I don't.
really
I just
funny.
wait. What?
I wish I had it. I'm sorry.
The thing is, it's supposed to be such a moving scene, but then there's this guy kind of like dancing weirdly all by himself, going like.
I feel like we should incorporate Jim Carrey in the background from like Ace Ventura.
Oh yeah.
You were offending witch doctors out there, Irina.
I'm sure that movie offends witch doctors.
Yeah, they're probably watching this and like, what the hell?
Also, I might mention about that as well. The moment they start walking away, all these huge storm clouds and lightning
apocalypse
bolts.
looking.
Yeah, I
I'm
want
coming
to see
everywhere.
them just like
Everyone's just like,
looking
oh,
around,
it's
like-
fine. Let's go in the sub.
Also, they're in the middle of Africa.
will
I
say
can just
it was
imagine
kind
that.
It was kind of insulting how quickly everyone
man.
walked away. They're like, oh, well,
Yeah.
we have more
Well, that was
important
good.
things to do.
Also, the fact that he just put his gun, like Tom Sawyer put his
I
gun on the
know.
grave.
I was like,
Okay.
any random native could pick that
Yeah,
up and
it's just
shoot
gonna
somebody.
leave it right there.
Not only that, but they kind of were going into this whole father-son type vibe with this whole past of my son died in my arms when I was
Is this how you
on a
trained
mission
your
before.
son?
But then at the end of it, he's just like, all right, yeah, thanks old man. And he
Speaking-
tosses the gun on the ground on the grave.
Speaking
and walks
of
away.
Yeah.
father and son moments, my favorite scene is when Sean Connery's character Quartermaine or whatever
Quartermaine.
is on the top of the ship and practicing shooting, and then and then Tom
what
Sawyer
you're
comes
talking
out, and so he's trying to teach
Like,
him
"Hey, Dan."
how to shoot, and then at the very end of the lesson, Tom Sawyer is like aiming at the target, and he says, "So is this how you taught your son?"
And then he just pieces out.
Sean Connery just pieces out and says nothing.
Because it's a sad, emotional moment. Sean Connery's remembering his son, and he's like, I can't deal with
But
this.
it didn't come across that way. It just seemed
Sean Connery's really just
left.
thinking to himself,
What-
who the hell wrote this script?
Yeah. What the movie wanted you
Actually
to
walked out.
the
He was
movie
mad.
wanted you to do the mental footwork of being like, Sean Connery sees this guy as his makeshift son, and now he's remembering that,
Makeshift.
yeah, I did teach my son how to shoot like this, and now I'm sad, so I'm gonna go inside.
I started laughing
It's
so
just
hard.
it's just too hard to watch.
It's a very emotional scene.
Oh
And
man.
then Tom Sawyer later on is like, I guess he tackles Quartermaine from being stabbed by a knife or something like that. And he's like,
Oh,
"Can't
yeah,
all be saving
gives
like
that
this old
retort.
man or something like."
Yeah,
No, he still got stabbed.
Yeah,
he did. Yeah, he still dies.
Yeah, he still got stabbed and died, and it was like, well, I guess you made it up by shooting his killer. I guess.
yeah.
Yeah.
And then putting your gun on his grave. That'll,
All right.
that'll
Very special.
give
So
him
that
something
that
nice.
wraps up our story for the League of Extraordinary Gentlemen. We're gonna take a quick break, and we will get to our reviews, and we're gonna talk about this franchise and
All
why
right.
it failed.
Yay.
Welcome back. You guys ready to talk about this movie?
Yeah, baby.
I mean, we've been talking about it, but
there's-
y'all ready to review it?
There's still more to talk about,
Yeah,
but
baby.
we have to review.
So, give me your brief review of this film and your numbered score out of 10, having watched it with fresh, new eyes. David.
That's me. Honestly, this is one of those movies that I really thought that I was gonna like more going into it.
I already love it.
That's a bad sign.
It's not a good sign when David says that. I liked this movie a lot when I was younger. Actually, I definitely had a very positive memory of this.
I'm sorry, David.
And going into this, it wasn't what I remembered it being. I was watching it the other day, and similar to what we said before, the intro kind of had me hooked a little bit. I was like, okay, this is fun. It's a little campy at points, but it was still watchable. And then there's like a certain point in the middle where you're just like, it's just too much. I can't do this anymore. It's not good. And I caved in. Like I couldn't find, I was trying to find all these ways that it was still good. I'm like, yeah, it's still good.
That was me. That was me.
You
That was
could do
me
it,
with
movie.
Hellboy.
You could do it.
You're like that dog
the
in a burning
reboot.
room saying, everything's fine.
Fine. It wasn't fine. And I think it was around the scene when they were in Italy and they sent Tom Sawyer on that car chase adventure. I don't know. At that point, I was like, okay, I'm off. I can't do it.
Yeah.
And so if I had to give this one a score from 1 to 10, I'm leaning at around a 5.5.
Wow, that's higher.
Wow.
Okay.
Yeah, that's why I said I don't know. I already knew what my score was. I don't know if
Okay.
this is going to be on the high end or the
Alright,
low end,
alright.
but
Let me
5.5.
tell you right now, it's on the high end.
All right, I'll get mine.
you.
I'll get mine out of the way real quick. I did not like this movie. I'll just leave it at that.
Oh, come on. Rewatchability.
I'm one of the few that I don't have a good history with it. I don't remember liking it. I remember being kind of I remember enjoying a couple sequences, but ultimately being kind of bored by it, and I thought it was
Yeah.
unmemorable.
Oh, shit.
And for once, young Reese agrees with older Reese, and
You mean other way around?
yeah, well,
No,
yeah,
you
you know what I mean.
Yeah.
But,
Yeah, it makes
my
sense.
tastes did not change on this movie very much at all. I do appreciate some of the attention to practical effects. I like a lot of the ideas. I think this just completely ruins like so much great source material. Where it's a really interesting idea, taking all these characters from works of classic literature and putting them together in a story where they all kind of work together and are heroes. And this just squanders that completely and fails to make any of them interesting in any way. There's no depth to any of the characters at all, except kind of Sean Connery. Where like even Sean Connery or Quartermaine needed more. Like I needed like an origin of him at the beginning, him like with his son or
Yeah,
something.
yeah.
Like a de-aged or a differently cast Sean Connery having a bonding moment with his son as the intro to this movie or something, just to kind of like establish his, how he works, how he ticks. So they just kind of sloppily throw everyone together, and they go out on this mission that is not well defined and doesn't make much sense, in my opinion, and then call it a day. And there's a couple of cool moments of wonder and awe. I actually like the Nautilus scene when you first see it. I think it looks cool emerging from the ocean or from the docks. But other than that, there's not much for me to grab onto in this movie. And yeah, for that, I would give this movie a 3 out of 10.
3 out of 10. Wow.
That's pretty good.
Basically the inverse of David's Tomb of the Dragon Emperor.
Oh.
What are you talking about?
Yeah, the proximity of 3 to 0 is very similar to the proximity of 7 to 10.
Is this one of your lowest ones? Really?
I think this one and Tomb of the Dragon Emperor were my lowest
Yeah,
one.
yeah.
And one of the Tomb Raider movies was one of my lowest ones.
Right,
as well.
right.
So yeah, I'm going to pass it on to Irina.
All right, for me, let's see. I was laughing almost the entire time, which could be a good thing, actually, in this movie's favor.
If it were intended.
Does it matter if it was intended?
Yes.
I'm gonna say the redeeming factors first. The things I liked about this film were a lot of the set designs seemed like there was a lot of detail put into them. So I love that there's an attention to sets. And I did love the sets, especially the inside of the Nautilus. I loved the design of blending this nautical theme with an Indian persuasion. I think that some of the actors did seem like they were really trying. It didn't seem like just a paycheck to them. It seemed like they were having fun. I liked what?
I'll get into it later.
Okay.
Did you know why that is? Is because like they were offered this opportunity to be in this big blockbuster because
With
Sean
Sean
Connery
Connery.
took all
Yeah.
the money, and so they basically hired a whole bunch of no-name actors, and they're like, well, "This is my chance to shine."
Well, I mean, it served in their benefit because
Yeah.
I actually liked Mina Harker. I surprisingly liked Dr. Jekyll a little more than I expected because I think he came across as a drug addict the way I would expect someone in that position to be.
He had a certain sincerity about him, I
Yeah,
guess.
yeah. There was something about him that I found kind of, I was being sympathetic towards.
Yeah, I kind of wish I had touched on that character more. He's
All right, well,
Also,
we can talk
I
about that
think
now.
he was one of my favorite
Because
points,
he is actually what I wanted Hulk to be. Because every time Hulk has been depicted, I've never really felt a connection to it. But this guy, I think, did a really good job of balancing that addict nature, where he felt like I'm a better person with this, but I'm like I loved the juxtaposition of him arguing kind of literally with the Hyde character, seeing him in a reflection. I thought that was an interesting art choice as far as filming goes. So I liked him. And I liked a lot of the decision making as far as the way characters were portrayed.
By the way, that guy was the guy who played Dr. Jekyll was Jason Fleming, who I'm not familiar with, but I just wanted to shout his name out for a second.
Yeah,
full
no,
$12
I
that he
really
made on the
liked
movie,
him.
totally
I think
worth it.
I think he was actually my favorite character of the bunch.
Yeah.
So these are the redeeming qualities that I point out. Everything else is a little I think the writing was hit and miss. They had a lot of one-liners that just did not fly with me.
The
How
and
writing was
How
the worst
about
part.
every one-liner in the
Growl.
It just really did growl.
The opposite of dread, you could say.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
It's like usually I'm a little skeptical when Alan Moore talks about how much he hates all the cinematic adaptations of his work are.
Yeah.
But with this one, I can agree.
I think he saw this one first, and
Yeah.
then like
No, I
from
don't
then
think
he
he-
was just
He
tainted.
was just soured.
I think he
Yeah.
refused to see it.
Yeah,
Same thing
yeah.
with V for
I'm sure
Vendetta,
he did.
Which, you know,
Yeah.
he was, I would say, wrong on V for Vendetta, right about this
Mm-hmm.
one.
Yeah. I think he was even wrong on Watchmen, even
Yeah,
though
Yeah.
people have problems with Zack Snyder's Watchmen. I think I really
feel-
like
feel
that
like
movie.
Moore is just kind
yeah.
of bitter.
Speaking
Yeah.
of which, I think Alan Moore is just, he's kooky and
Yeah.
weird, and you should not
Yeah.
take what he says with,
He's
well,
an
you
old-
should
he's an
take
old-
everything he says with a grain of salt.
He's an
I would,
old grump.
I would agree with that.
Yeah. So, but obviously he has never liked any film adaptation of his work. This one, I will agree, probably does not live up to expectation.
It's one of those situations. Sorry to interrupt you.
Oh, no, you're fine.
It's like if this weren't based off something that was so much better, I might give it a few more points.
Yeah.
It's just you see all of the missed opportunities with
Yes,
it.
yes.
That just really like drags it down because it
What?
had
Yeah.
so much cool source material to draw from, and it just doesn't do anything with it.
So my rating for this film is based on wasted potential.
Yeah.
I think I am giving it a 4
All right.
because there's enough that I find enjoyable. I would watch this again just purely to laugh, and I like the supernatural aspect.
Yeah. That's fair.
That's why I bumped mine up
Yeah.
where it was.
So I do enjoy that. I
That's
think
fair.
there's a lot of wasted potential. I think I can see where people worked hard on things, which is why I don't want to give it a completely terrible score, even though 4 is not great.
Yeah, 4 is like middling to low.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I at least see heart there.
Yeah.
I don't see a completely finished work.
Yeah.
And that's where I will leave that.
Yeah. All right. Cool. I agree for the most part. Noah,
Yeah.
what you think?
It was great. No. No, I'm a bit on the same page as both you and
David?
well, I'm on a different page from David.
Oh, whatever.
David, who loved the movie, versus
Why we do this?
David, who gave this a positive score, I give a more negative
It
score.
deserves a medium score.
I disagree. So here's the thing. If I had to rate this by the number of times I thought or said stupid or this is stupid, it would be way into the negatives. If you subtract from 10,
What about
it's
Tomb
way
Raider?
into
Does
the
it
negatives.
fit into that sort of realm?
I'd say it's in the same
It's
category.
it's around the same ballpark. So Tomb Raider's like when that middle school kid who bunts the ball. This is the middle school kid.
What?
This is the middle school kid that hits it towards first base.
I'm not following you on this
Weird
analogy.
analogy.
So you
Elaborate.
know that middle school
Someone
kid.
out there
You'd have to do
understands.
that baseball thing. They just kind of lightly tapped the ball so it rolled in front.
Yeah.
You know, that's a bunt.
I know what a
I
bunt
know what it
is.
Yeah.
is. So maybe you're trying to say they bunted when they were trying to get on first and there's no runner on base already that they were sacrificing for.
Yeah, no, it's like they tried and it's just they tried the wrong way.
Sports ball.
You know.
Weird analogy. I never would have.
Okay, but
Hey,
love
that
it.
came
I
out of
love
left
it.
field.
what?
Ah.
Didn't it? I'm not much of a sports guy, but even I know there's something wrong with
Can
that.
you
Do
make a
you ever see
Warcraft
professional
connection?
This movie was a home run.
to make a Warcraft connection? It's BFA compared to Legion. It just they severely dropped the ball
Oh, now you
to
lost
bring
me.
it back to baseball.
Wow. From Warcraft, I'm getting whiplash.
Yeah.
What
But,
did you hate? What did you like or not like about it?
All right, so everything.
If you actually, I'm more curious. What are your positive notes on this movie?
So Arena
Dorian Gray.
kind of stated them. They're pretty good with sets. They have a number of decent ideas for things.
Which is
But-
all
Question
mostly
mark?
a credit to Alan Moore.
Sure.
Like their ideas are all from the graphic novel.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah, but
Except for
other
Tom Sawyer.
oh my goodness.
one of
No,
their.
they just had so many areas where it's like, oh, we could do this cool, and it's like, that was really stupid. Why did you do that?
Okay.
So basically, this was their Daryl from Walking Dead, but not as successful.
It was
Exactly.
yeah, no,
So-
it was just not.
Like, what is this scene with the tiger? Like, what meaning did that have?
I
Yeah,
don't know, I just thought-
the movie's on in the background, and the snow tiger, which I guess
Yeah,
there
what is
are
its
snow
purpose?
tigers, but I don't know what it's supposed to
They
mean.
no, they
I
bring it up.
almost feel
it's a
They talk about it.
yeah, they do. But I feel like something about this movie is that you're supposed to understand a certain context to it that is not readily available to every viewer.
Because he's thinking about Africa.
What?
No.
No. They said I think right afterwards, and everyone walks in like, "What was that?" He's like, "Oh, it was nothing." And I think it was Nemo who said something along the lines of, "Oh, just another dying or like an elderly warrior."
oh, so
think
he's just
you're-
like,
I
oh, I'm
think
about
I
to
Yeah,
can't
so
remember
they
the
shoehorned a meaning into something
Yeah.
that was pointless.
It,
not
it didn't
worth.
need to be there. It was like
It didn't need
an
to
elderly
be there,
warrior
no.
is coming to its end and kind of sees that in himself.
Nah.
Yeah.
Well, back to your review.
Real quick, that's another way that they went just wrong. The way that you do that kind of elderly thing is like Logan, where it's like, I'm ready to pass on now.
Logan was so good.
Logan's
Yeah.
arguably the best superhero movie.
And now he's coming
Bold
back to
claim.
Picard.
I love. Oh my goodness.
gosh.
Whew, such a good movie.
So also, I'm just going to bring up when I was watching this earlier with Noah, there was a scene with Dorian Gray, and there was a part where he's on the screen, and I asked Noah if he knew what was happening. He's like, "Oh, Dorian Gray is doing a thing, right?" And I was like, "Yeah, he's doing bad things. He's a bad guy now, kind of thing." And Noah's like, "He's bad? Come on,
Wow.
why?"
That's Moriarty. What?
Yeah, no,
It's so
it seems
stupid.
like you're really invested in.
Oh man, he was so
story.
upset. It's funny watching Noah get worked up.
it's it
Okay,
was
okay. Positives, other than the sets. Anything else?
I mean, I kind of like the actors a little bit.
Yeah.
You don't have to say that just because I did.
I kind of like
the
them a little bit.
Okay, negatives. Let's just go right to it.
Lean
my
into
gosh.
it.
Well, how many minutes are in this movie?
Wait,
It's like an hour and 55 minutes.
Okay, I got about what's the math on that? 115 things wrong with this movie.
115.
every single minute
Every
that
single
it was
minute of
in
it.
existence.
You can subdivide those into seconds if you like.
Oh my gosh, yeah, that's too much math. But I'm just gonna skip that because I can't think of anything more good, and I can't think of anything. I mean, I could think of very many things that are wrong with it, and it's just so many that it boggles the mind.
Who's your least favorite character?
Oh my, honestly, okay, so
Moriarty. I'm gonna guess Moriarty.
Okay, Moriarty offended me the most. Invisible Man annoyed me the most. But it's really a toss-up. I have to say, I think Moriarty's more stupid. Just their usage
Because
of
it
him
insults
is
the
exactly.
character that it was based off.
The
Yeah.
source
Exactly.
material.
Yeah.
And that just annoys me. He's supposed to be this mastermind level. He would literally destroy the country and succeed if these guys were actually facing him.
Yeah.
Like everyone would be doomed in that situation because these
If-
people are just so.
If they were really
don't
against
know.
Moriarty, this guy they were fighting would not be Moriarty, and he would be
Yeah.
off somewhere else doing something while they're all on this wild goose chase.
This movie should be called Son of Moriarty. Just like make it a dumb little like
All right.
sequel with a knockoff.
What's your score?
3.
3?
Yeah.
You just did that to match me.
No, I didn't do that to match you. It's a
As he winks.
No, I'm just gonna. It seemed like a 3.
It's a 3.
I think next time we should write down our scores and then just
that's a good idea.
hand them to you
That's
That'd be-
actually
at
smart.
the beginning before we start talking about it.
Oh, that is interesting. I do like that. So you can't no takebacks.
No changing while we're talking about it.
This is
I like
gonna
this
be
idea.
really bad for David.
I was going to say it's going to work in my favor.
We're gonna see a lot more 7s.
No, it's going to work in my favor
I
because
think that would be fun.
it's going to be good because I'm going to write down my score and I don't have to worry about you guys going after me and purposefully trying to one up me.
Yeah. All right,
We never-
AJ.
We don't do that.
Bring us
so-
on.
I
with
do
your
not
final-
believe you.
No,
Yeah,
we
so
really don't.
I'll mimic or I'll echo David and Irina here. You know, I had this thought in my mind, seeing this younger, remembering liking something about this movie, coming back to it. I like the aesthetic of it, I guess, and some of the shots and scene creation, the just Victorian time, steampunkness of it. I don't know what the adjective for that is, but
Edgy.
yeah, but let's do a non-sports analogy here. It's like they had a lot of the right ingredients for this recipe here, but they put it in the microwave instead of cooking it properly.
Yeah.
Added a little bit too much coffee to
We've
it.
got a cup of noodles.
easy
instead
bake
of-
oven.
instead of some homemade spaghetti here or something like that. And there's a lot of, I guess, potential, especially from the source material. I mean, we expect something like a Justice League or Avengers kind of collaboration team up thing in Victorian literature, and we don't get that at all. It's just fast paced, rushed this product. They're like polishing a turd, for lack of a better term, almost.
Hey,
You get
polished
some
turds are
kind
very
of neat
pretty. okay?
visuals here, but complete lack of substance. Like the plot is nonsensical; it doesn't make sense. Just stupid moments, like the whole monologue of Moriarty. Is like, why?
I actually think this movie took treasure and turned it into a turd.
Yeah.
Like, that's what I think. This
So,
movie.
if anything in this movie is like, it makes me want to go read the characters of Dorian Gray or Alan Quartermaine.
Yeah.
The original content of these characters, where they came from, that kind of thing, and actually see some well-written stories that these guys are unfortunately thrown into here. I guess it's still somewhat enjoyable. I mean, I do like the visuals, like I said, and if this was playing on TV and I wasn't doing anything else, I probably would stick around for a few minutes instead of just changing the channel right away. That's kind of on the level of what this movie's at for me. And Sean Connery, I don't know if it's a chicken or the egg argument where he keeps this movie afloat above water, or if he was kind of the detriment or downfall of this movie, you know, with that budgetary consideration of maybe it could have been better if they didn't have him as a financial anchor or something like that.
Yes.
And especially with all the, you know, drama you hear about with this movie, him and the director both quitting the business because of this film. So there's some potential here that I can see, and unfortunately we didn't get that. I'd say this is a 4.
4.
Yeah.
All right.
Hey, same
So
for
running down the list, we got
me.
David up at a 5.5, Irina with a 4, Noah 3, AJ with a 4, and me with a 3.
So
David again
Guys,
with a resounding positive.
Rewatchability.
I was about to say
It
that.
doesn't have it.
Wait, what? I've seen it like almost 3 times
and
now,
David,
though.
David, I want
Okay.
to question you again. What does watching this movie 3 times in a week do to your body?
I mean, can you see my body right now?
Yeah, but I kind of want you to put it into your own words. Like,
I'm-
what is your experience watching this movie 3 times in a week? Because I think
it's
you
like
were the
Dorian
first.
Gray, where it doesn't affect him at all physically.
I'm pretty sure you're the first known man to ever accomplish such a feat.
I am very invested in this podcast. And I
So invested.
also, a lot of the times, are just. It's usually I watch it first, and then other people are watching it, and
For what
then
it's
I
worth,
end up watching with
I
them.
I did watch it twice. So
Yeah.
I'm not one to speak.
One time.
3 times, actually.
Yeah, I know.
But anyway.
All right, let's talk about this franchise. Sorry, did you have more to say?
Well, I was going to say, my body is a wonderland, so go for it.
My body is wonderland.
Go. Move forward. We don't need to
Sorry,
talk
John
about it.
Mayer.
So let's talk about this movie's performance at the box office. For one, how much do you guys think this movie cost? You who are more aware of movie budgets.
150 million.
78.
Yeah, that's because you.
Dollar bills,
What?
yo.
What'd you say, Noah? No, what'd you say?
I said 150, but I take it back.
No, you can't. You
I
heard,
want
you heard a
100.
comment that I said.
100.
You heard a
If
comment that I
David
said.
can't
100.
take back his Tomb of the Dragon Emperor, you can't
Dang it.
take
Okay,
back
150.
your-
I
fine.
sniff a cheater, but I will not. If you are honest, you're 78 million. Are you serious?
I thought it was in like the low, like below 100.
Okay,
but
Dave.
above
No.
50.
No,
we have to
you,
keep it.
Did you not read that anywhere?
I did not. I've not looked up anything
Cross your
about
heart
it.
and hope to die.
I hope I don't die.
You just won the lottery. It cost.
Are you serious?
It cost 78 million.
Damn.
On the dot.
On
That
the
sounded
dot.
really
Hold on, wait,
staged.
wait,
I
wait,
know
I
it
wanna-
wasn't, but that sounded
Hold on.
so staged. Just like, are you
No,
serious?
honestly.
Oh my
I
God.
never. I never look up the box
You didn't
office.
actually
Hey,
see it
hey,
in
hey.
the trivia?
No. I mean, at least I don't remember seeing it.
Is it weird that anytime you hear about the money that went into a film like this, you think, wow, think of all the things I could have used that money for.
78 million.
78
17 of that
million.
going to Sean Connery.
Oh my gosh.
Gosh.
So yeah, the movie cost 78 million.
So he was almost a quarter of the budget of this entire
yeah,
movie.
almost. So based off that, how do you think the the worldwide box office performance was for this movie?
Not super
Wait,
great.
are we talking about
I'm
the
betting 300.
Worldwide,
160.
overall, 160.
300.
Wait, so
300?
if it was 78, did it do well? I feel like it would have done well in the box office.
I think-
as far as like people wanting to see it because of the name and hearing about Sean
This
Connery.
was summer, right?
Yeah, it came out the weekend of Pirates of the Caribbean, so early summer.
I'm gonna guess. Wait, so 78. I'm gonna guess 190.
190. Okay, so you said 160, AJ.
I said 300.
300. Noah,
Yeah.
you're way off.
Dang it.
It was 179. So AJ was closer.
Was he?
Ah.
Yes, by
So-
19 million.
I was
Okay.
11 off.
No, you said one night. Oh, you said one night. No, yeah, you're right.
Yeah, but
you're
you went
closer.
over, so you bust.
Oh dang it! Yeah,
$1,
I guess you're
Bob.
right. Dang it! I should have went one over you.
So yeah, 179 million. It made a decent chunk of change through rentals and DVD sales. I feel like this number, if a movie had made that today, it might have gotten a sequel.
Really?
Weirdly,
I feel well, yeah, especially with the source material. I feel like this movie, people went to the theaters to see Pirates of the Caribbean, and they're like, oh yeah, this came out with Sean Connery, let's rent it.
yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, I don't.
I would have thought that it did rather well in box office, but
I
then
don't-
people
This
realized,
was the
oh, it
same
is
year
bad.
as Master and Commander, our last episode.
Yeah,
I don't
Yeah.
remember, but I'm
Oh, it
wondering
is
if
a
you
good
guys
year.
do. Do you remember if there were? Do you remember trailers for this film?
I do.
I do.
I do.
I
Yeah,
don't.
I thought the trailers were much better than the actual movie.
Yeah.
If
I was
I
actually
remember
kind of
correctly.
hyped for this
No,
one. and
yeah.
I'm-
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. I don't remember trailers at all.
So the sequel for this was actually canceled because of they stated poor critical reception, And
I wonder why.
They shouldn't have said poor critical reception. They should have said poor writing.
Yeah.
And not great box office numbers. So the sequel, the idea for the sequel is actually cool. They were going to bring in H.G. Wells' War of the Worlds as like the antagonists, the aliens from that.
That's volume 2 of the comics or novels.
Yeah, but that sounds so cool
Yeah.
under the right. I mean, I'm
Yeah,
sure this guy
yeah.
would have screwed it up. But like, speaking of which, I should probably at least give the credentials, or I mean, show the people behind this movie, which I forgot to do earlier in the episode.
Give credit
This
where
was
credit is
directed
due.
by Stephen Norrington, who also directed Blade.
Commodore.
Wait,
do-
he
I
did
do-
Blade?
course.
I do feel a little bit of Blade at, like,
David, you're
aspects of
surprised?
some of
Wait,
this.
which
The
which
first
Blade?
one.
The first Blade.
Oh,
Yeah,
never
changed
mind.
directors after the first
Yeah,
one.
starring Sean
Blade
Connery.
2 is where it's at.
Starring Sean Connery, obviously, and Stuart Townsend and Peter Wilson.
Peter.
And then a whole bunch of other no names.
No, do you know who Peter Wilson is in this movie? I just want to see if he knows.
No, I don't.
If you had to guess one of the main characters. Who do you think it would be?
Peter Wilson.
Yes.
Is it Tom Sawyer?
No.
That's a girl.
Oh, wait. Is it?
there's
There's only
Invisible
one
Man?
girl. Why did you say that?
Oh, it's a Mina.
Yeah.
Amina.
It's Mina.
It's Mina.
It's Amina.
Yeah, screenplay by James Dale Robinson, and obviously based off the graphic novel by Alan Moore.
And
So, yeah.
there was some other guy.
Yeah,
it
there's
was
a
a
co-
collaboration.
yeah.
Yeah, who did the art? Oh man, O'Neill.
Yeah.
Yeah, something O'Neill. Sorry, I'll cite that. I'll
Starts
cite
with a
that.
K.
Sorry, man.
Another thing I read about this movie was Sean Connery turned down roles in The Matrix and Lord of the Rings.
Yep.
Because he thought the plots of those movies didn't make
And
sense.
that role he turned down in Lord of the Rings was Gandalf.
Yeah, and this one, he also said he didn't. He said the script didn't make sense, but he took it.
Okay.
So
Well, he said he took it because he saw how well Matrix and Lord of the Rings did. He's like, I'm not going to miss out on this one. And then he did it. And then, well, sorry,
Maybe he was a
man.
fan of King Solomon's Mines or something like that.
Okay.
Either that or he saw
although
17 million.
it's, I
was like,
do
"Oh."
think it benefited us because Lord of the Rings and Matrix are brilliant, which
Yeah.
I think a Sean Connery appearance would have kind of diminished them.
maybe I'm curious what they had him in. They wanted him for the Matrix. Like, what role?
I
would he
mean,
have played?
maybe that could have worked.
Morpheus. He'd have been a little too old
No,
though
I'm
for
just-
Morpheus.
No. But
Morpheus wasn't
I
running a lot.
definitely think that Ian McKellen was a better pick for a Gandalf character.
Oh yeah, for
Oh,
sure.
yeah,
I'm
I'm
glad.
glad,
I'm glad Sean Connery thought those scripts didn't make
Sean
sense.
Connery Elrond.
Ooh. Ooh.
No thanks.
That would.
So yeah, this movie is also apparently so damaging to the director that he vowed to never direct a movie again.
No,
Yeah,
that
and
makes
he-
me sad.
He has not directed since.
He apparently
Yeah. Literally
recanted
hasn't.
that, but still hasn't made anything.
Yeah.
No.
That is
And
sad.
Sean Connery basically called everybody idiots in this experience, and also
Yeah, and apparently at the premiere or something, the director didn't show up out of, I guess, shame, and someone acted.
The director didn't show up to his own movie.
Someone asked Sean Connery like where he was, and Sean Connery was like probably at the asylum or something like that.
Okay. Wait,
That's
wait.
a
I want to give
burn.
this guy a hug. I
Wait.
feel so bad.
There's another thing I heard about this one. And I'm sure you read it too, Reese.
Yeah.
Where there was a scene where Sean Connery was like, "Ugh, I hate this," and then afterwards the director was like, "All right, let's do it again," and he's like, "Again, seriously?" And he's like, "For $17 million, you can walk across the stage one more time." And it was like, oh,
I didn't read that.
You didn't read that? Sean Connery apparently after that was livid, as you can imagine. But like, I kind of give him props for standing up to Sean
Yeah,
Connery. It's
man.
like, dude, this isn't. It wasn't a very intensive scene either. But I guess Sean Connery, he was in his 70s and was like, I don't even want to walk anymore. And it's like, for $17 million, you could walk.
I can probably see fault on both sides of this argument here.
Yeah.
Like Sean Connery is Sean Connery. He's like probably one of those guys that don't meet your heroes.
Yeah,
kind of
I
thing.
bet he. I just don't even think he wanted to do this. He was just like, eh.
Yeah. But he
Money.
probably maybe has like, yeah, I've done this before. Like, I know how this should be. And the director's like, no, do it this way or something like that.
Yeah,
I don't know. Who knows?
That makes
it's all
me
speculation.
so sad, though.
I know.
Oh,
I know. It is
I-
sad. He was
did-
attached to a couple of projects. over the past years, but none of them really like came to fruition.
I just like, even if something isn't that great, I don't want someone to be so upset with it that they vow never to direct again.
Yeah,
That's
gosh.
just
I
so
know.
depressing.
Anyway, that leads me to why I think this didn't get a sequel. I think it's just, it was so much production trouble, not great reviews, and even though the box office numbers weren't the worst, I feel like there was just a lot of bad blood and just kind of a stench lingering over this movie.
Yeah.
And no excitement for what could be next.
Well,
So-
this does leave me a lingering wondering what could have been with the Dark Universe, especially
yeah.
I know.
with these kind of characters.
Yeah. I really want to see what they were going to do with the Dark Universe. I
Yeah,
think
I
that could have
do.
been
I
cool.
know.
Coulda, shoulda, woulda.
Be fun.
You know, I'll run down the reviews for this movie pretty quickly. So on Rotten Tomatoes, it had a critic score of 17%.
Ooh,
Oh, nice.
that's like Mummy Score, the reboot.
Yeah, with an audience score of 44%, Metacritic score of 30, and an IMDb score, which is all audience members, of a 5.8 out of 10. So that was the most.
Wow.
That was the highest score. But
That's
IMDb
me.
is always kind of, when you look at scores on that site, it's always kind of in that middle range. It's hard to find a movie that's like under a 5 on IMDb. So that that doesn't hold a lot of weight for me. But yeah. Sorry, David.
After David so proudly, that's me. It's like, then Reese proceeds to say, "Oh, really? It doesn't really hold a lot of
I
weight."
don't
right,
know,
you're on the
but I
same
think
page
David's
as-
known that
I don't
from the
think Reese
beginning.
holds a lot of weight.
Yeah.
because he lost a lot of weight.
Sorry, you're on the same
Great, man.
page as
Thanks,
Jeff
Steve.
Bezos
David.
and David, so.
On top of your uncanny ability to rate these films, you are also incredibly funny.
Yeah.
Why?
Yeah, David.
Well, you have to deal with this.
You're a
for
man's
forever,
man.
So.
All right.
Look at those glasses. Look at that beard.
I hate all of you.
Look
Do
at that
we have
indoors hat.
Do we have any differing opinions as to why this movie didn't make it, or
Probably because it sucked.
I think
that wouldn't be
honestly,
a differing opinion?
from what I've heard from all of you, I think it was the mentality that went into it partway through.
Yeah.
I think they just did not expect themselves to even get there, and I think it's almost a defeatist mentality. I think that's what killed
Yeah,
it.
it's like, let's just get this job done and
Yeah,
ship it.
yeah.
Yeah. Not a bad effort in some areas, but they really dropped the ball in most of the other areas. So yeah.
And if the director of this is listening ever, I think you had something there. You did not fully succeed, but please don't vow to never make films again.
Yeah, direct more movies,
Make
man.
more, come on.
Please.
I'd watch another of this.
I actually weirdly really enjoyed this.
It's not all your fault.
Yeah.
Yeah, times have changed. I think you could do something cool today. So
So
do it.
if he had the money, like if he took $17 million back
Million.
and could
you could make a
redo
good
this.
movie with $17 million.
How much money did Home Alone? I think the budget was like $10
It
million
was
or
less
something
than
like
that.
that.
It was like 12. No, he's like, it actually was like 12 million or something.
Sean Connery's budget on this movie was more than
Or
the
yeah,
entire
his
making
wage, I guess.
of Home Alone.
Okay, but can that undo that monologue from Moriarty or the whole like lack of consequence for any action they did in the later half of the movie?
No.
No.
But there's no story. There's no point to the story.
Yeah. All right. Well, that sums up our League of Extraordinary Gentlemen
And woman.
episode and one woman. Yeah, this does not pass
Gentle
the
folk.
Bechdel test, but that's
Throw a
Yeah.
lamp in there. We're good.
yeah.
She's
Vampire
actually,
lamp.
if she's a vampire, is she actually human? Does that count?
Oh, so technically 0 women.
Vampiress.
Wow. Next week we will be covering The Girl with the Dragon Tattoo,
Oh.
The English version.
part of a 2-movie franchise if you count the sequel-ish.
I don't.
That had
Which-
none of
which
the
we
same,
will be.
Yeah.
Well, then you don't have to be there for the second
Never
one, David.
mind.
You're gonna be there. We're gonna watch it. We're gonna do it.
Okay, I won't show up.
I don't know if you want to do trigger warnings or not, but this can be a pretty rough
There are
movie.
some trigger warnings in
Yeah,
this
yeah,
next
yeah.
one, so
If you follow along and watch the movie ahead of time, the next episode, there are some rough scenes, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah.
there's some stuff, but you can deal with it.
I don't know. Can you fit your fist up?
No,
David, stop.
I don't even know. I don't. I'm
sure David
where
can.
You're going with that.
You've obviously never watched Girl with the Dragon Tattoo.
I have. I just didn't want to hear it come out of your mouth. What you were gonna say?
Especially since we're warning about trigger warnings.
Yeah. Warning, trigger warning. Here, let me tell you exactly what happens.
Without a
David.
warning.
Without a warning.
This is the David method.
And not to like get into it, I don't think fists are involved in that movie, but I will.
It's
Leave it at
it's
that.
a fist size.
Okay,
David,
well, oh gosh,
please stop.
our producer.
He's
is
talking
giving
about
us-
people fighting.
And cut.
All right, that's the end of our episode. Goodbye.
Bye.
Bye.